In this video, I'll show you how to document your technical reserve using OZmap. There are several ways. The first is to create the reserve directly on the pole where you want to add it. This settings window will then open, and right below, you can see the cables that run through this pole. Just click here, and you'll see the possibility of changing the length. Then just apply it. That's it. We've created our first reserve. I'll show you the other ways you can add it, but as you can see, the icon that represents the reserve is this green swirl here. Whenever you want to hide it from view or see the reserves on the map again, you can come here to the layers and toggle it on or off. Another way to add your reserve is to come to a box and choose the name of the cable you want. This box has 3 cables running through it. So when I hover over the cable I know its name, and I can find it here in this list. Then just add it. When it's a box that has a feed through, the ideal is to divide half the length for each side that's here, because here, even though it's only passing through the box, for the system it's like 2 different cables. So by dividing the length of the value for each side, you get the full value represented more correctly. You can also define a standard technical reserve per box or per type of box. With the first option, you place a value here in the box individually, and every time a cable is added here, it will automatically gain that reserve value. Or in box type, every time a box of this type is created, it will also automatically come with this length set. You can also add it directly via the cable. In this case, there are 2 ways of knowing where this reserve will be anchored. It can be named after a pole or a point. A point is in case you don't have any poles in your project. It's a strategic element within the system to be able to design a cable or add elements without knowing the poles in the area. You can identify a point by any bend in the cable that doesn't have a pole. So this here or this here is a point, and here in this list it will be represented by the coordinates, while the pole will have its own name. So, when I add the reserve by box, if the box is connected to a pole, that will be the reference name for the technical reserve. But if it's a box that's not on a pole, it will appear as a point in coordinates. So I've added this length here, and when we open it again via the cable, its reference is as that pole, because it's connected to it. When you realize that there isn't a pole or a point in the place you want, to create a point, you add it to the cable and hinge it slightly. After saving, the system will generate this point, and then you can add your reserve there. Then you choose from this list where you want to add it. It may be that the cable is very long and has many poles and points in its path. In this case, what might make it easier for you to know if you're choosing the right pole or point is to use this icon here, which will center the element so you can check if it's the right one. It might not make much difference here, because you could, for example, hover over the pole and see its name. But imagine a very large network and a cable with a huge list of poles. This option would make it much easier. One last observation is that when you measure the cable, it will already take into account the size of the technical reserve. For example, when you view the area report, you can group by type, and here it will be the total length of all the types being used, including the reserve. So that's it. If you have any questions, just give us a call.